And welcome back, everybody. This is Suns and Shadows. We are back with another episode of the She-Hulk TV series. We got episode 3 that just came out. I am joined by my co-host, Kevin. And how are
Hello.
you doing today, sir? And what did you think of this bad boy?
I am fantastic, and I thought this one was also fantastic. Episode 3 brought it. It was cool.
Yeah, I definitely think this was much more of an improvement over the last one, for sure. It did start a little slow for me this episode, but by about the halfway point when the story started kicking in, from all the way to the very end, and then the end credit scene, I was just dying with laughter the entire time.
Yeah, like the wall break was right at the beginning this time, so they got that right out of the way. And the way they deliver it with her taking her hands off the wheels and looking at you was just the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen. And you're right, from that point on, it was just hysterical. Like it just got like one degrading scene for a character after the next, and it was funny.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. Like that was probably the moment where I was thinking, like, bitch, you gonna wreck. But and then I understood, oh no, she's breaking the fourth wall, and logic goes out the window. It's like, okay, it's staged now for a second.
Yeah, at that point, you're almost ready to watch Daredevil, or not Daredevil, Deadpool, slowly walk past eating a chimichanga like it's behind the green screen.
I still think a Deadpool cameo would be tremendous. I doubt we'll see it, but like this is what it reminded me of, was like, this is like definitely a Deadpool feel to it, and it just kind of jolted me back into the episode.
Yeah, and that was one of the ways that they described it months ago when they first announced that She-Hulk was going to be funny, and they said she was going to be a character that broke the fourth wall like Deadpool. And people kind of got freaked out online. I remember asking, why do we need that? We've already got Deadpool that does that. 2 characters that break the fourth wall is stupid. No, I don't think so. I mean, when you get to it, Deadpool breaks the fourth wall in the comics for a completely different reason.
Oh, right.
Loki told him that he's a comic book character. So he's self-aware.
Right.
He can make anything happen, and it's his choice because it's his book. Jen is just like, it's like a meta show where she's talking to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's not Deadpool having his own show. She's just explaining it to you. It's more personal that way, and it's funny as hell.
Right.
It's different. It's not like Deadpool.
Right. It's like the flip side of a coin. Deadpool's more, what the fuck? Y'all see this, right? And she's more like, I'm engaging with you. I'm actually speaking and having a conversation with you. I'm connecting with you. I'm helping to explain like my part of the story here. And Deadpool is just the quick lines or looking at the camera like, what the fuck, you see this?
Yeah, his is more of a narration.
Yeah,
in a way. Yeah. Whereas, yeah, Jen almost, actually every episode she's looking right at you and talking to you.
right. It's either she's talking to you, or in the middle of a conversation, she then looks at the camera and does a little wink like, yeah, you heard that too, right? Now that's a little more Deadpool-esque, but now she's like this in the comic. I have not read the comics. I'll repeat this the entire show because I know nothing of what's going on, but she's like this in the comics too, right?
As far as I know,
Okay.
the current iteration of her, yes. Not a long time ago, but yeah, currently.
Okay.
I don't know for how long, like for a while.
All right.
So, and that's again where you get people complaining. They really ought to go to the source material because she does do that and has done it for some time.
Okay. Good to know. Now, would you say that the show is still just as funny, or is it as funny as you would like it to be, or does it still need a little work?
I think it's sitting on a good balance of comedy and drama so far,
Okay.
and action. Things could be wackier, they could be more forced and jokey, but they're not. Like even when the jokes are coming in on something and they're having a ridiculous setup, it's still realistic. So like for Dennis, for example, he's wanting to hire Jen's team
Oh my god.
to sue this woman for defrauding or basically conning him. And Dennis is the guy who used to work with Jen at the DA's office, just a total chauvinist douche.
Total knob.
Yeah. And now that you're in the third episode, you're kind of like, okay, this guy's not going away at this point.
Yeah.
So, and he's, again, people crying at home are going to say, oh, this is woke. It's not woke. Look at the source material. Dennis Bukowski is in the comic books, and he is that chauvinist douche who always gave Jen a pain in the ass time.
It'd be like if somebody was remaking Married with Children. You gotta have, as you know, Jefferson, the womanizer who's with and Darcy across the street, the one with the money. He doesn't work. It's like if you're gonna reboot the show, you'd still want the same kind of a character. You can't just completely flip them. This isn't Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where you go from comedy to straight up drama. That's a complete tonal shift. For a show like this, going off the source material, this is what you're getting. I don't see the problem. And you're going to get characters like that, and there's no message. It's comedy, people.
Yeah,
Comedy.
yeah, and it's balanced well, because you did get a little bit of action in this episode.
Yes.
You did get a little bit of comedy, and then you're starting to see the plot begin to unfold by the end of the episode, because you get a big question at the end of this episode.
Yes, the question is, can you twerk just as well as Megan Thee Stallion?
Apparently Jen can. I haven't tried it yet. I'll try. My kids were awake when I was watching this, so I was like, I can't show them yet.
All twerk and no play makes She-Hulk come back for another episode.
But you know what? That scene was so cool. That was just like the Captain America Fox scene.
Yeah.
Like, that was just showing her that she's a super nerd. Like,
yes.
She's a normal ass person inside that geeks out over famous people.
Right. I think what really sold that for me, and it wasn't like the whole she's twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, it was her boss walking up to the office, seeing her dance, tilting us in, going, huh. And then walking away. And from that point on, I just died. I'm like, that was a perfect exclamation point on that, not the I'll kill for you. Whoa, you need to bring it down a notch.
Her team, the longer this goes, and even Mr. Holloway, they remind me as like a wackier family, but similar to Nelson and Murdoch. Like the three of them were a family, and I think you're going to start to see this here too, but on a much more comedic level. Okay. Like you were saying, Married with Children. Yeah. You know, you're going to have a grumpy old man. Holloway's going to be the grumpy old man, almost like a J. Jonah Jameson in a way.
Right.
Not as carbunculish, hopefully, but you know.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I've heard a thing or two about what his character may or may not evolve into, but I'm just along for the ride. I was not trying to be spoiled. It was just something that popped up on another show that I like to listen to from time to time, and somebody made a comment like, "Well, there's something there," and it's like, okay, I don't want to know. They didn't spoil it or nothing. They just said there's more to that character than meets the eye.
That could be presumably so, because you're liking him, or you're learning to like him from, like you said, that scene right there where he kind of goes and just turns around.
Like, okay.
Yeah, you understand that as a character. So like you'll start to get an emotional attachment to him. And that's when they pull the rug out from under you, when they do their big reveal.
Right.
Which by all accounts should be the second to last episode, if we're going to go by their roles so far, with like WandaVision and
okay, Loki. Because of like
the
house of like Harkness or Darkness.
I can't wait to see that. Harkness,
yeah. God, I love that twist. So I don't need my twists in all these shows, but I do appreciate them if I don't see them coming, or if it's something that I would want to write, then I totally appreciate them. But if it's something completely derivative, I might be like, might as well have given us the leader from the Incredible Hulk at that point.
They still may. We
And they
don't
may.
know that because that's been a big cliffhanger that people have been bitching about for what, 10 years now, 15 years.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, you also have like, well, we can go ahead and maybe talk about Emil now as Abomination, and that whole part of the episode which happened on the back half, where he's still got his 7 pen pals, not his 7 little lovely ladies that were there just to root for him for his parole board.
His soulmates.
They're my soulmates. No, they're not my friends. I'm not getting the farm with them. They're just my soulmates.
I
That
swear
was
to God,
fantastic.
if Tim Roth does not get an award for this role,
Uh-huh.
someone is fucking stupid. This is his best acting ever.
He's totally killing it, and I don't feel like he's hamming it up enough. Like, I think he could go further off the deep end. I've seen him in like good movies, so I know dude is legit as an actor. But this is the first time I'm like, somebody give him something juicy, please, for the love of God.
You know who he's actually outdoing? Forgive me for saying, Ben Kingsley. He's outdoing Trevor Noah's craziness.
That's pretty good.
It's like if you mix Korg with Trevor Noah, and it's funny as shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like when he changes and he's telling everyone it's okay. All I could see was Korg. The revolution has begun.
No wonder why that kind of felt a little familiar to me, and I couldn't peg it. It had that same kind of like vibe. He's like, no, it's okay, everybody, everything's fine, and everybody's freaking out. Like, that's a freeze frame.
It is absolutely hysterical. It's like you're waiting naturally as a comic book fan and knowing Abomination as you do in the comic books. You're waiting for him to fucking get out and do whatever it is that he's supposed to be doing or wants to do.
All right.
But I think it might be more fun if he's actually going to become this character. Like that may piss people off, but this is kind of funny. Like it's fun to see him doing this dumb shit.
Yeah, this oddly works for me.
Yeah, Abomination, namaste. It's precious.
I think it's tremendous. Hopefully we're not spending like the whole season on just him. I'd like to see other cases that she takes on with other superheroes or villains,
Yeah, I hope we will anyway. Because I mean his parole is over, so at this point I'm guessing she's not going to be representing him any longer.
Unless something bad happens again. But now, not to get too far ahead of myself, but isn't he a member of the Thunderbolts when that movie's coming out? Or am I not knowing this correctly?
I would guess so.
Okay.
I would guess so. Because the Thunderbolts, like I said last week, I believe is going to be what they referred to in the comics as the Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
But instead of them being run by Norman Osborn, they're going to be run by Hydra or Val.
Okay.
So in their version of Captain America, we're going to have US Agent. Spider-Man very well may end up being Venom. That could be. In the comic books, it was Venom, but it was not Eddie Brock. It was actually Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, with the symbiote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't cool at all.
Hopefully they do better.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what's her name? The lady Loki. Sylvie. Sylvie was there in lieu of Thor, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they just everyone had a dark version of themselves. Hawkeye was actually Bullseye. That was kind of neat.
Ooh.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see him come back too.
But to see a good Bullseye.
Yeah, they've yet to show us that. From what I understand, they teased at the end of Daredevil season 3, but yeah, we didn't actually get to see it. Or would you say it was alluded to?
It was alluded to, I would say. Just the same way I would say Punisher season 2 ended with him actually finally being the literal Punisher in the last like 2 minutes of the show.
Oh, yeah,
And
right.
2 seasons of building up to being the iconic character.
You know, that worked in Daredevil because it was a good origin story for him, but
Right.
I don't think they should have tried it beyond that. Like, we didn't need another whole dramatic series of origins and for Punisher anyway. Especially considering we'd already seen him be established at the end of Daredevil.
Right. And season 1 was fine. Season 2, they just kept pulling back on that. And it's like, can we just move the story along, please?
Yeah, yeah. But this has started. This episode flowed better, I think, than the last episode. There was
Yes.
more meat and potatoes to it,
I'd say so.
and it didn't feel like filler.
No, it actually, just to play on those words, it felt more fulfilling this time around than the last time around.
Yeah. There. What would you say was the example of the meat and potatoes for last episode? I would say really Bruce leaving, her coming to terms with things, and Bruce leaving.
Right. Yeah, I would. That's what I would say that was. Because Bruce definitely just kind of ditched her behind.
Well, I did rewatch that a bit today. That was a Sicarian ship. I don't know if you said you caught that last week.
I did.
So that's okay. So that's where we know that he's going now.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
now
why I was asking you, like, does this mean Planet Hulk or something? Because he's on board a Sicarian ship.
um it could be.
But I think they already got into that in Ragnarok a little bit. So
In Ragnarok, yes, but I want to say it's going to involve God, I can't think of his holiness's name, Jeff Goldblum,
mhm.
because I think maybe a contest of champions. Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe against Kang.
right.
That could be it. His guys versus Kang's guys. They may have that up their sleeve. They have that as a game.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yep. Yeah. There's plenty to see going forward for everything as we
Yeah.
get closer and closer to the end of phase 4.
I'm not sure how much further they're going to go. I mean, is this the last show of phase 4?
I'd have to look at the timeline.
Now, then speaking of the timeline,
Or is there another movie coming out yet still?
I honestly cannot remember at this point. Wakanda Forever.
Oh, yes.
So that might be the final one. Yeah, that very well could be, because we're going to see the Atlanteans, and of course, with Submariner, of course, comes Fantastic Four eventually.
Right. And I think we'll find out more like in the next week or two whenever the Disney day is, because then they're going to announce like a ton of stuff. Or
Oh,
D23.
is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. What was I hoping for? I'd like to see them pull everything together and explain what happens and when, because I don't think the phase 4 release line, the timeline, is proper at all. I think it's more than just Black Widow that takes place before Endgame.
Right.
Some of these might too, like you said, may occur during the blip.
They have to, otherwise it makes like no sense. Like, what are we doing here? Because to me it feels like phase 4 is like all over the place.
Yeah. And so with Kang coming about, maybe he pulls all those strings and we start to get Natasha back, or Steve back, or however many of the Avengers, for whatever reason. That's their ace in the hole, that they could bring the original 5 back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So but again, I don't know where they're gonna have their Avengers moment for this phase.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully, clearly we're establishing She-Hulk, so she's got to play some sort of, like, even if it's a background or secondary character, or she gets everybody health insurance. We'll see.
or twerking lessons, who knows?
Or hazard pay, you know. Oh, hey, I have to leave the planet. That means triple hazard pay.
Did you notice the secret invasion Easter egg in this episode?
I did not.
Okay, so the Max facility that they have Abomination in
Yeah.
is a hexagon.
Oh,
What Wanda's power, her whole shape
yeah.
for everything, is a hexagon. And when you see
Oh,
Nick Fury in space, he's monitoring a hexagon. So the
okay.
hexagon is a recurring theme in Phase 4.
Oh, I hadn't even picked up on that.
Yeah, what it's involved with, other than Wanda, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was interesting that it was a hexagon as well. It's like,
Hmm.
where are they going with this?
Yeah, the only other kind of like egg that I kind of caught was I remembered like one of the origin stories for She-Hulk was she might have been a mob hit, and they actually addressed that as like a gag line as she was walking out of prison. They're like, "Where are you from? Who are you? We heard that it's rumored that you might have been the victim of a mob hit."
Because that's the origin of how many superhero origins anyway.
Well, yeah, that's a very funny. That was a pretty funny gag.
I like that. No, yeah.
Yeah, and oh, did you have a question or topic?
No, I was gonna say, did you with the Easter eggs, did you notice at the beginning Titania's new Easter egg at the bottom of the news ticker?
I was trying to watch that, but I didn't catch that now.
She says she hopes her legal team can make the trouble go away.
Oh my god.
Because of her what was it, her hypoglycemic moment or something like that, or
Yeah.
blood sugar.
Oh my god.
She wants to make the legal team make it go away.
Well, speaking of legal teams, I really got a kick out of Pug defending Dennis
That was
as the
great.
secondary like trial story in the episode. I was like,
Yes.
oh my god. And then going after Runa for, do you really believe he would think that she was Megan the Stallion? And you got Jennifer up on the, just up there, just being like, oh yeah, he's that. I forgot the exact words, but he's like, oh no, he's that full of himself. He definitely would have believed he had bagged Megan the Stallion. And she's just in there like, I'm happy to tell you all about this dirtbag. He is that stupid. Yes.
And see, that's what I was saying before. I like that they were showing that, because it's showing people that it's not the force woke thing that everyone's saying that it
Oh
is.
yeah.
He is that character. Like, that masculine toxicity and narcissism is his character. It's important for him to be that way, because yeah, he really does need to think that he's dating her.
And that he
just,
bought her a Passat. I mean, like, really?
yeah, exactly.
Who does not want a Volkswagen Passat that costs 50 grand
Right.
and got flown to Paris? And how much did you spend on her? 100? 100? Or no, I think he started at 50, and he's like, and you're just pointing up, and he's like 100. He's like a little more, and he's like 200, and he then all of a sudden is like, no, I spent 175,000. What, dude? How much do you make as a DA? Jesus.
Right. It's most of that was probably on credit. Like, he doesn't probably make that much, but he probably has credit cards, and he's gonna be paying that in interest forever.
Right. I mean, he also has to then pay whatever legal fees are to the team, but maybe they take it out of the winnings at the courthouse.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god. I love the judge in that whole sequence. That was fabulous. Because he's like, Runa, just because you are this, that, or the other on Asgard, you are not on Asgard. Bitch, you're here and you created this problem. And dude, you got scammed. How should we
Right.
believe that you didn't know that?
I don't know. Hold on one second.
I was just asking about the judge, what you thought of him. I thought he was completely hilarious.
I thought the judge was great. Like, his plainness was like, are you serious?
I'm like, really? You're that dumb, dude?
Yeah, right. Like, but then I even liked his performance more being Runa.
Oh my
That
god,
was
yeah.
funny.
Well, at first I'm like, that's ruin it, and then they show the back from the back, and that chair seat is empty, and her own lawyer's like, you gotta stop doing that. It's illegal to impersonate a judge.
Yeah, right. And it's like in front of all these witnesses. So it's like, you're not going to get away with it. You're not going to be, oh, it wasn't me.
And she did not, because she actually got what, sentenced to 60 days and like
Is that what it
confinement or
was?
something. Yeah, he's like, yes, I'm ruling in favor of you paying him back, and it's illegal to impersonate a judge. You're getting 60 days in confinement.
I, I liked Runa.
Yeah,
Her character was very neat. I'm willing to believe that she actually is an Asgardian because we're going to see more Asgardians towards the end of this episode. But at first, when they said shapeshifter, I'm like, ooh, maybe she's a Skrull.
right.
No. I'm willing to believe this time it's going to be taken for what it is, that she's an Asgardian and maybe involved with the MCU introduction of the Wrecking Crew in this episode,
Oh, okay.
who looked
That was pretty cool,
really
but they got
cool.
their ass kicked.
Good. They should have. They're assholes for half the time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, when they after they got beat up and they jumped in the van, he's like, that did not go as planned. I just wanted to start singing the A-Team theme song and feeling like, I
Oh.
love it when a plan comes together. It was like the flip is like, that did not go as planned.
Womp womp. No, but it's like it was so cool because when you see certain villains, especially specifically movie adaptations, we'll say like on Luke Cage, the bad guy didn't look anything the way he did. The Copperhead looked nothing the way he did in the comics.
Oh,
It's not to say that the character wasn't cool,
yeah.
but it's nothing the way Copperhead looked in the comics. These guys look the way that the Wrecking Crew, fairly similar to the way the Wrecking Crew looks in the comics. If nothing else, their weapons were the same: crowbar, ball and chain, the hard hat, and it looked cool.
Yeah, that shit was, when it started to glow, I'm like, oh, this is some stupid little gang walking up to her. The second the stuff started glowing, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I thought it was like stolen Chitauri tech because that's what they've done in the past. But no, it's a little bit more interesting than Chitauri tech.
Yeah, I thought they'd actually do something to her even as Hulk, but like this shit was just bouncing off of her, and I'm like, oh man, you guys are so fucked.
Uh, yeah, I mean, in the comics, they give Thor a run for his money here and there, and Captain America too. But I'm not sure that they've ever really gotten one over horribly on any of the Hulk family.
Yeah, probably not.
But now I'm curious to see who are they working for. Maybe they're working for Runa. Maybe it's Holloway that they're working for. But it's very curious because again, someone we haven't seen or are aware of yet is pulling the strings for everything in this episode or in this series.
I had a fun fan theory that I came up. Well, I don't know if I came up with it or if other people did, but I thought Titania. Yeah, she's like lingering in the background. We haven't seen her since like episode 1, and I'm like,
right.
We keep hearing about her. I mean, it's probably not her, but I thought that'd be kind of a fun little pullback, but probably not her.
No, I think you might be actually right.
Oh,
because of the constant Easter eggs,
yeah.
and she's an influencer, and we talked about it. I think in the first episode, maybe last episode, they might be making her more like Speedball at a Spider-Man, where all the crimes are in it for the clicks.
Yeah.
So I mean, if she could make She-Hulk more popular, her fighting She-Hulk will get her a bajillion clicks and followers.
But they're also trying to get like her DNA. Would that help Titania gain some like superpowers? But if she gets injected with some of that, she's going to be another Hulk, isn't she?
Yes. So keep that in mind. That could be the leader.
Oh.
That could be Blonsky.
Oh, okay.
Those are all people that could want gamma blood.
Okay.
So, and they know they can't get it from Bruce, but she does, or they can't get it from Hulk. They can get it from regular Jennifer.
Okay. I mean, hey, there's plenty. It's a good mystery because you can't really figure out where exactly it's going or who's. I'm almost willing to feel like this show, the way it's going, once we get to the very end with all the reveals, this would be worth rewatching to then go back and try and pick up the like, oh, I see what they were doing here. These little sprinkles were a little misdirected. It's really that.
Yep. Yep. And then you have to think about in the future, who else are we going to see? We
Right.
know we're going to see Daredevil. So
Yeah.
it could stand to reason that Kingpin could be pulling some strings here. He's always got his fingers in every judge's pocket. Well, he's got every judge in his pocket. I don't know about his fingers in theirs,
Oh,
but
great.
sometimes you have to butter that palm,
Yes, you do.
grease the palm. Excuse me. Anyway,
Oh,
good.
yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, speaking of greasing palms, we got our Wong appearance in this show. Can't go wrong
Yes.
with Wong.
They wrote him a little goofy at first, but his next scene where he comes to testify on behalf of Blonsky was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure if he was like being serious, like I chose him as an opponent to fight. Maybe he was actually doing that. Maybe he had other reasons, but it was goddamn funny. Like Benedict Wong is always an A+ performance.
Oh,
I
he's
love
terrific.
his version of Wong.
Yeah.
Like he makes Wong so much cooler than he actually is in the comics.
Oh my God, the way he carries himself, I'm like, this is okay by me that he's appearing in all these other things and he's kind of pulling the strings. He's actually the Sorcerer Supreme, as indicated by his LinkedIn profile.
Well, see, there lies the loophole that I was going to ask you about. So he needed this fight to become the Sorcerer Supreme, he said.
Oh,
he became Sorcerer Supreme during the blip because Stephen wasn't around. So that's where I'm questioning, okay, is phase 4 the lineage, or this isn't linear the way it's coming out at all.
Oh, interesting.
It could be loopholes, but things could be taking places before, during, after, and around the last 2 Avenger movies. Who knows?
That's a good thought.
Yeah. So and that's why I'm kind of like, oh shit, I guess I do have to watch the rest of the MCU stuff right now. Okay. Gotta push myself to watch Eternals. I know I can do
it. I'll end up watching that too. If enough people want us to do a little quickie review, Kevin and I can come back and do that after. But I mean, there's actors in that I absolutely adore. It's like, I don't know, but it's been referenced enough that it's like, I gotta see it.
Yeah. And the Celestials will end up being part of Guardians 3, I'm sure.
Oh, is that what you're thinking?
I would say so.
Gotta be. Somebody's gotta like properly introduce the rest of that, don't they? Because it can't just be like the Eternals. You gotta have more than that.
I would assume so.
Wow.
I mean, they're those godly characters, but hell, in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, the Guardians take on a Celestial in the first level. So I mean, it's not out of the question.
I gotta play that game too.
Yeah.
And my backlog's growing for like Marvel shows. It's growing for video games. It's growing for movies. I'll sleep when I die, I guess.
Yeah, right. And even then, you may have to set an alarm.
Yeah, I'll just hit the snooze button. I'm kidding.
So let's see here. Okay, we got the Wrecking Crew. Did we catch? Was there anybody? Were those any cameos? Did you catch in this one?
I did not catch any other cameos.
I don't think I did either.
Like, especially because that was even a point of one of her fourth wall breaks. Is this is not another one loaded with cameos?
Yeah, that was creepy meta, because isn't that what we were talking about last episode?
Yeah.
Let's not forget whose show this really is.
Right.
That was damn funny. They knew we were talking about that shit. Everybody was talking about that.
Or they were hoping people would be like, oh, I wonder who's going to be guest starring in this episode. Like, maybe this was the plan from the start. Hey, at least it felt like the show was finally being itself at this point. Like
Yes.
here now we've officially started She-Hulk. We got through our origin. Now let's get rolling.
And that's typical of most TV shows.
Oh yeah.
A new TV show either doesn't the first season doesn't pick up steam until the third episode,
Right.
and the show doesn't typically get great or shitty until the third season. Like 3 is a magic number with TV shows.
Yeah, any sooner than like even season 2 is kind of pushing it. That's very rare for a show to get firing like that on all cylinders. Like,
yeah,
I'll do the obligatory reference. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Season 1 was okay. Season 2, not okay. Season 3 through 5, boom, cherry pick time.
I don't remember. I remember the first season being pretty okay.
Yeah, I liked the first season. It definitely was a bit more edgy, not as refined. Season 2, they replaced the Doctor, so the whole dynamic got rechanged again. Then they brought her back in season 3. And I think from season 3 through season, you could say 6, but it's really 3, 4, and 5 with like all the Borg and everything going on. That was fantastic. 6 felt like it was dragging. 7 was pretty good, but then they were preparing to shift to the movies because they knew they were going theatrical. I mean, I could also look at like Stargate super quick and just be like, season 1 was really good. Seasons 2 through 4 are amazing. 5's a little shaky. 6 and 7 are a little shaky. Season 8's really good.
Huh.
But Star Trek is the better example because you got the first 2 seasons that were to no, that's not bad, to season 3 of here we go.
Here we go. They had a lot of stuff in the show that I liked, but if I remember correctly, the final episode ends the way that it starts with John Delancey.
Yes, Q. Yeah.
And they don't come back to that until the last episode, the last season of Picard, from what I understand.
Yeah, he came back in Picard. But I haven't seen anything past season 1, so I can't tell you for sure.
I haven't watched that either. I can't stand to watch Data die a second time. I'm like, nope, fuck it. I didn't know it was going to happen the first time.
So.
Yeah, I thought they or unplugged him at the end. Or his daughter unplugged him.
Well, if you're talking the TV show Picard, he's not Data in Picard.
Oh, fuck it then.
He's just a Noonien Soong offspring.
Oh, gotcha. All right, then I feel better about that because I can't watch that shit again. I can't. Blue Skies is fucking emotional enough as it is.
Oh, sure. I mean, like the daughter or created daughter is definitely like half Data. That's where the whole Data reference comes around. So.
Oh, okay. Now I guess I'll have to watch that then instead of being a giant man baby.
It's a little different, but I've heard that season 3 is spectacular. Like this is what people have been wanting. So hey, another example of season 1 and 2 being and season 3 being here we go.
Yeah,
it hasn't come out officially yet, but somebody who's seen it, in Hollywood, that I don't know the person personally, but it's on one of the shows I kind of check out, and they've said they got the theme music back to being good, and now they got the story being good. So here we go.
All right. Even House, for as spectacular as that show was, had its ups and downs.
Oh yeah.
And that was overall longevity. Fortunately, this is more concise, and so I think having just a few of the episodes, by the third episode, I think now they're going to start to run faster than anything else because there's not a whole lot of time left.
Yeah, it's this is only 8 or 9 episodes.
I don't even know if it's going to be that. I know Loki was 6.
Yeah, Loki was 6. WandaVision was 7
8?
or 8. Yeah. So this is, we're single digits. We're not hitting like 10 episodes with this show. But
no, and it's fine. These are basically mini movies set up in the longer episodes or shorter episodes, which is great. That works for these types of hero sagas. It's integrating in a way that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to,
Right.
but failed upon. So this is their version of their TV line gonna
TV
mix into the
version.
movie line. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely digging it.
Because now they don't have to blur those lines. Before,
Right.
you couldn't bring Phil back into the movies because he was contracted via Marvel TV, not Marvel.
Right.
Which they still should have fixed that fucking shit.
Yeah, I'd love to see him come back, but he's probably not going to be back.
No.
Super
Not,
cool guy too, if you ever meet him, from what I've heard. So
from what I understand, yeah, like, and he's just totally awesome, like a skateboarding kind of guy, unassumably like giant skateboard kid.
well, he's a big nerd like the rest of us. Apparently he loves like hot toys, which are expensive.
I'm sure. But I don't know who they're going to have to be replacing him in this phase. So like,
yeah, right.
Every aspect of the MCU has a Coulson character.
Yeah, or would you? Yeah, well, if they start bringing like Maria Hill back,
Maria, I could be okay with because Maria is again in charge of Shield when Nick's not around.
Right. She
You,
did have an appearance in, oh god, one of those movies in the last phase. While Nick Fury was in space, was that Captain Marvel or was that something else? I kind of remember the movie, but I don't remember like the pure center of what that movie was.
I'm not sure. Like, I'm getting the video game mixed up in my head where like Bruce and Kamala like call her directly and randomly, like they just randomly have her number.
Yeah. Oh well. But if anybody remembers, feel free to comment below. I would love to understand the timeline a little bit because with it all jumping around, it's making me misremember what movie was in what and what extra scene was in there and what mid-credit scene was somewhere else. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that Nick Fury scene is where he was up in space. That might have been Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, walking around in his pajamas on the spaceship or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was in that movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that was the end of phase 3. The official end was Spider-Man. It wasn't Endgame.
Right.
Like Spider-Man was the ending, the closing part for Tony.
Right.
But since they've got that deal with Sony and all that bullshit, it's not their official start to it or into it.
Right.
But the Russos have said, yeah, it was. Like they gave a little bit more information, but still didn't tell them a whole lot. So they called it the blip. Like, yeah. You can't really retcon that, unfortunately.
It's the snapping.
Yeah. Maybe they could do a different timeline where they called it something cooler, like the snapping, like you said. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, we've had the happening, we've had the fappening, now we've got the snapping.
Let's just say it. The blip sounds something really silly and stupid. It's just lazy writing.
Yeah, I don't know. If that's the way it needs to be, that's the way it needs to be. They could have come up with a better name, I think.
I'm armchair critiquing, so I mean, it is what it is.
Shit, we're an after show and we do a podcast about TV shows. This is what we do. Everybody's got an opinion. Yeah,
we analyze things way too much. Sometimes we're right about it, but
oftentimes we are not.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be wrong on all my guesstimations as to what's happening here. Like, fucking Pug is probably the bad guy. We'll see.
Oh my god, that would be harsh.
You awesome for Josh Segura.
Poop.
I thought we had a thing of friendship.
I thought we were buddies. Then you broke my heels. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of which, Abomination gently taking care of his white Crocs had to be one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Between She-Hulk and Abomination, they have this thing about taking their shoes off before they transform, and then when they retransform.
Yeah, not we're concerned about their clothing, but the shoes.
Yeah,
like the shoes are expensive, and Crocs are not expensive.
Right. Well, I also saw like with Abomination, he grew so goddamn big, his clothes completely shredded. So when he was throwing like the blanket over his head, I'm like, what are you doing? And then as he started to detransform, I'm like, Oh,
Oh.
yeah, he doesn't need to show him every part of the abomination.
They did though. I caught a screenshot of it. We'll
Oh,
we'll maybe
geez.
we'll maybe put it up when this comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
We'll put it up in the Facebook group. No, no abominable parts.
Yeah. Oh,
That
oh,
could be why he had to go,
yeah.
Zen. Oh, he's a eunuch now. Maybe that's what it is.
It could be. Could be. It just reminded me of that of one last thing of that whole scene, other than that whole sequence was fantastic. But after at the very end, they're like, okay, you can be released. And then they look at Wong and they're like, and you, sir, committed a crime by letting him out. And he's like, okay, time to go. Bye. And so he vanishes, and as soon as he goes through the portal, John's like, shit. And then she just straightens up the microphone. And I'm like, that is a great little character drop right there. A little visual cue.
Her losing her shit there was so perfect. Like,
No, no,
how do
no,
you try to keep your straight face? And she doesn't at all.
no.
At all. She's trying and failing horribly.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No, stop, stop. No. Oh, she's like, I'm seeing this case evaporate before my very eyes.
And it all worked out.
Yeah.
Somehow it all worked out. And I love this picture here behind us.
Yeah.
It's if you guys haven't watched it, get to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Blonsky's getting released, and it's his wives, his 7 soulmates, waving goodbye and probably going to meet him on this farm. Cannot wait to see what this farm is going to be like. I hope it really is like a hippie commune. I really do. Oh shit.
Yeah.
But I like that they've gotten Abomination to look the way that he's supposed to finally. He's got the fins on his ears. He's got no nads. He doesn't have a fucking tail. He looks cool.
Yeah.
And one thing to point out, they kept saying what's to stop him from turning into a mindless raging monster. Blonsky was never ever mindless in the movie. He talked. He was still Blonsky.
Yeah, I remember that from me. I still haven't rewatched The Incredible Hulk, but I remember enough of that to know, no, dude wasn't like that completely. Yes, he was a little nudged in the wrong direction, but he was coherent enough to talk as the Abomination.
Yes. Yeah. But the super soldier serum that Ross made and gave to him probably basically made him an addict, like constantly craving more and more and more, like Parasite from Superman.
Right.
That would be my guess. Like if that's going to be their route, that's his mindlessness, and he got over it through Zen.
Yep.
God, I kind of hope so. I hope so, because it's different. It's different, and it's an enjoyable thing.
Right. And he's also going to have a power inhibitor on now too. So.
That's right. That
was a condition of his release, is he has to wear that. They're not just going to take his word. If you wear that, then we know. And if you break that off, then you're coming right back to prison. So it's kind of like work release or whatever it is.
Yeah. Huh. All right. We'll see where that goes. And it's the same inhibitor that Bruce had at the beginning, right?
Yes. I think it's based off of that tech. I think, they created that for like our superpowered villains who actually have like superpowers like that. But I have a feeling like if Wong wants to, he can do a little magic and slip that bad boy off without breaking the wrist, so he could transform as needed.
Yeah. And I liked his reference to, I can't, change everybody's mind or wipe everybody's mind all again. Right. Talking about the end of Doctor Strange, or the first Doctor Strange movie.
Yep. I thought that was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It was like the Men in Black reference. It's not the Men in Black reference. It's just how I remember that, is like, I can erase your mind.
Bing. Yeah. That's basically what they did.
Yeah.
But no, it was solid. I liked Wong. I liked. Okay, clearly this seems to be a much prior to Doctor Strange 2, because Wong goes through some really heavy shit in that movie.
Oh god, yeah.
And he seems much happier in this film.
Yeah. it's got to be kind of around Shang-Chi, but I was trying to look through the portals where he was coming from and going to, and I couldn't really see too much, but I think on a rewatch, I might do a little better job.
Right. And that's what I tried doing with Shang-Chi because it looked like a locker room behind them, but maybe it was his cell.
It was
It
his cell.
it could have been that room in that hexagonal room.
Yeah, that has been not confirmed by anybody on the show, but it's been confirmed by super fans who are watching, like who went back to Shang-Chi and they're like, no, that's actually a cell. That's actually a good tie-in.
Those are the people that caught the Easter egg of the Hulk getting Captain America out of the ice in the deleted scene.
Oh my god, right.
Like, there, it's right there. You see the shield, it's right there.
Yep.
I paused it on that scene.
Yep.
Sure.
Why not?
It's a Rorschach, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see. Did we leave anything out?
I think we covered pretty much anything other than, I don't know. What do you think? 3 episodes in, are you in for the long haul?
I'm in for the long haul. And if
Me
it
too.
maintains the level of quality and the upscale, the uphill action that they're going in now,
yeah,
I hope this gets set up for a season 2, or they bring Jin into a movie. Or both.
Yeah. Hey, why not? Nobody said you can't do both. I don't think we'll see a She-Hulk movie per se, but it doesn't mean she couldn't be featured very well in a movie like Bruce Banner as the Hulk. Maybe not on like the level of like the first Avengers, where it's like a quarter of the movie is the Hulk smashing things and beating up Loki in a hilarious scene. I love that.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see her playing a role in this, even appearing in the Daredevil show, because if Daredevil, we know Daredevil's appearing at some point. This doesn't, they haven't even started shooting the Daredevil show. He's getting 18 episodes. And
God, I hope they're more than 20 minutes long, though.
God, right. Yeah, I mean, that was my one fear walking into this episode, because I didn't pause. I just watched it on Disney Plus, just let it play. I didn't see a timestamp when it first loads. So I hit pause right away and I'm like, oh, this is 35 minutes. So we're actually getting a little more of a fuller episode.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this on the last episode? But whatever. I mean, you start off strong, you kind of level off, and then you hit the gas and you're going straight up. So I'm definitely in for a long haul. I really like this one. I like this one better than the last episode. I'd almost dare say this is my favorite episode so far.
Really? Okay.
So far.
Yeah. I still like the competition between her and Bruce in the first episode, but
great start.
Yes. I think seeing the Wrecking Crew was probably the biggest pop for me so far in the whole series.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's Emil, of course, because it's like, oh my God. And he's killing it too.
Yes. His little stint as Abomination was hysterical. Like I said, it reminded me of Korg, but the true performance, of course, is him being that crazy Trevor Noah type character.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. Like I said, I know it's not a cameo show. It's not supposed to be, but damn, he was fucking funny.
They gotta, even if that is like the true end credit scene of the show, is him getting to his compound with the 7 friends, and you see you actually see it's like the Thunderbolts, and Wong is actually in control of these guys or something like that. Like, hello, you've made it. Or Wong goes back and returns there or something, and you see like him just kind of be like, hello, just sitting back with the 7 fine ladies.
I'm very curious how that Thunderbolts is going to go, because Zemo, I'm assuming, is going to be the leader.
I think so.
Zemo has zero tolerance for superpowered people. Like he explains in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the very essence of the super soldier serum is an elitist.
Right.
As soon as you take it, you are above everyone else.
Yeah.
And he argued that Steve was the exception to that somehow. Mm-hmm. And Sam and Bucky basically told him to go fuck himself. Steve just had a good heart.
Good.
Yeah, you need to watch that one. It was pretty good. Zemo makes that series. He's really dope.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I got some catching up to do. Maybe I should get into doing some reading on this.
Yeah. Cliff notes are fun, but
Yep.
it just, if you could watch just the episodes that have some of his like highlight moments, totally worth it. Much better
Okay.
than what he was in what was it? Age of Ultron. No, Civil War.
I was gonna say I don't think that's right. No,
No.
I'm not. I am not an expert on the Marvel movies. Up into Age of Ultron is about the sweet spot for me for what I remember. Because I watched those movies multiple times. After that, I think I've only watched each of the movies maybe twice at most.
I can respect that. I can respect that. I've seen Infinity War and Endgame. I don't know how many times anymore.
I'm kind of itching to watch those again. I think the show is. I've been a. We'll go ahead and I'll say it. I've been a little fatigued on Marvel movies since basically Endgame, and between this and WandaVision, I'm feeling like it's bringing me back a little bit. So I'm not like relying on something so dynamically different like The Boys on Amazon Prime, which is fantastic, Com- completely different than She-Hulk. So don't watch that unless you are down for some dark, nasty shit. And you got to have a sick mind. But that's a show done by Eric Kripke from Supernatural. He was a creator of that show and wrote the first 5 seasons. But, you know, this is kind of restoring the faith in the Marvel universe for me. Not that I lost my faith. I was just like, after Endgame, the story was complete. It's like,
yeah,
where do you go from here now? I mean, got Fantastic Four, you got other things coming. So hey, there's plenty more to come. Let's just see where they go now. But I'm back in.
You know, there are hit and misses in Phase 4.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Black Widow, it was a decent.
I didn't mind that.
It was not a bad movie.
No.
It was a good vehicle for David Harbour. Like you left that movie wanting to see more of David Harbour.
Yep.
Florence Pugh got some popularity. I mean, we know she's going to be the next Black Widow. I hope that works out well for her. Like they didn't make her character horrible. Like Yelena's kind of a bitch in the comics, but
okay,
she works out pretty well too. She also gets with Bucky, which I'm not going to spoil that one for you. It's nothing to do with the TV series, but
yeah,
some of it's hit and miss. Things like WandaVision, a lot of people didn't like WandaVision because it was slow. It was different. It's like it's an experimental type of TV show that they've never really done before.
Right.
And it was really cool. It was really well done.
I thought it was unique, and that's what made it work for me. It wasn't some like, oh, it's another superhero thing. Great. Is it going to be like CW? Great. Yeah. But that's DC. I'm just making a joke.
But then Loki, Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier went on a bit long, but it was good. Loki was too short.
6 episodes.
It was too good for too short time.
That is actually probably what I'm going to watch next once She-Hulk is done.
Yeah, and Loki takes place right after Avengers, really.
Okay.
And then from there goes into infinite however amount of time. Yeah. Like it stops there. It could be any time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean that one's really crazy cool.
All right.
And it bothered people almost as much as Luke drinking the blue milk from the titty. Like there was people that were seriously bothered by Loki, and I'm like, oh fuck them, this is cool.
I like Loki. My wife likes Loki, so hey, it's on the board. It's on the docket. It's gonna get watched.
Yeah, Loki is one of the things that keeps my wife letting me watch Marvel films, so I'm good with that too.
Hey, happy wife, happy TV life.
Goddamn right.
All
right, dude. I think we've covered just about everything for this episode. I'm ready for episode 4. Another goddamn 7 days.
Yep. And then we will be back and we will discuss episode 4 right with you guys. So thank you for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.